I'm begging anybody out there, before you go and get surgery, before you walk into these hair clubs system places, I'm telling you right now, I am $20,000 in the hole, and 10 years of stress, the last 3, an absolutely horrifying existence of stress and pain. And I can promise you, the stress of this hairpiece is 1,000 times more than I would have ever felt if I had just been confident with who I am, dealt with the fact that these are the cards I've been dealt, and deal with them, and just shave my head. And honestly, like Spencer said, not everyone's there, but that's where I'm at.
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, just reading the chat. Welcome to the show. No, I am not Legolas, but I had this, I always told you, like, before you met me, I could have been like some spinal bifida guy. You guys would never fucking know. Like, I rolled down off this chair, and one of those guys that walks on his hands and shit. You have no fucking clue.
Oh, my.
Nobody knows.
Oh. This is the politically incorrect show. Thanks for joining us.
You know what? That's the way that it is. People with that condition have that issue. What am I going to tell you? Anyway, I mean, speaking about it, and by the way, guys, this is the Hair Loss Show, so welcome. It's really great. I plugged in my phones tonight, and bingo, all the lights were lit. I want to welcome you to the most called in to internet broadcast on the web. Now, there's a guy out there who is now closing up shop, and he would promote the fact that he's the most listened to call-in show on the internet. Well, I can tell you that we are the most called-in call-in show on the internet. And I should probably have a bumper made and some more production, because I haven't changed my production since 1998.
Since before the Civil War.
Before the Civil War. But, it's just so much work, man. I got to do all this shit myself now. And I can't trust anybody else to do it.
This is true.
That's the problem.
This is true, man. Perfection comes at a cost, and that's time.
I have all this editing to do. I
just made that up. That's good.
That's beautiful. It's on tape. I have all this tape. That's how old I am. It's digitally recorded. Digitally. I'll give out the phone numbers, guys, or the phone number, 888-659-3727. The UK line, I forget, so Joe will bring that up. It's probably in the chat, and it's also on our website, thebaldtruth.com. Those of you who are tuning in through iTunes Radio, iHeartRadio, the iHeartRadio app, welcome. I still don't know what's up with WABC. We may be on, we may not be on. I'm still trying to figure out what we're going to do. I'm waiting for some information from my syndicator, Mr. Andrew Zarian, who's now back to becoming a full-time broadcaster again, which is very exciting.
It's about time.
Yeah. So it's a very good chance that you New Yorkers out there will be able to listen to a very special The Bald Truth on WABC Radio in New York City in the near future. I don't know if I'm excited about that or not, because the truth of the matter is, and I hope they're not listening, radio is dying, and that is probably the reason they're circling back and looking for like some niche programming to kind of save their asses. But I'm willing to do that. I am a guy who sees crisis and turns it into opportunity. And this is transitioning into what I wanted to talk about today. And
I'm shocked.
And what we've been talking about for the last several weeks. But the hair transplant industry is in an apparent crisis. And we've been talking about this for a long time. And I am the type of person who looks at crisis management, again, as an opportunity. You have to leverage that crisis and turn it into an advantage. Now, to me, for all the physicians out there who are panicking because they are losing, the good physicians, they are losing patients to these turnkey places. They are losing patients to hair transplant tourism, all that stuff. Well, you know what? Those are the patients that you don't want anyway. There are more patients to go around. This is the most sought-after cosmetic procedure amongst men, and now it's turning more women are getting into it, which they shouldn't be. But it's the fastest-growing segment of the cosmetic surgery industry ever. It is growing more rapidly than any other form of cosmetic surgery.
I believe it.
The opportunity that the good guys have to narrow the playing field and prove to the consumer or to educate the consumer as to why they should go in this direction as opposed to that direction, it's fucking wide open. And you guys are acting out of fear, knee-jerk reactions, panic. I want to shake some of these guys and say, just calm the fuck down. Let's work together and get this done. In the end, my hope is that the majority of consumers will see the light. But if they don't, sadly, they're going to have to come back for repair work. That's the way it's going to be. There's only so many consumers that we can convince that we're being completely canned, and this is the reason why you need to go in this direction, and this is the reason why you might not want to go in this direction.
Well, part of part of what I'm expecting to see in the next, I'll say 5 years, is potentially a whole new niche market in the hair restoration industry to treat those that were looking for the best deal possible.
Yeah.
And I say that because for years, when I was a consultant and even now,
Jesus, look at the size of my arm. Sorry.
People approach me and say, well, I found a clinic that can do the procedure for, X number of dollars or X number of euros per graft, which is significantly lower than the other guys that they're considering. My response has been, well, and this actually makes sense. It may seem to be, a great deal now, but the bad deal is when you have to pay even more than that, what you're being quoted by these other clinics, just to fix what this cheap hair transplant is going to do to you. And, granted, a lot of guys won't be getting it fixed. A lot of guys will be happy with it, even though it doesn't look that great. But there's going to be a new market that opens up for specialty clinics that deal in repairing these cases where people are traveling to wherever to get a super cheap hair transplant. It might be down the street, it might be halfway around the world, but these clinics are going to specialize in S&P and body hair and all these things that these patients need to deal with depleted donor, to deal with bad growth because of insert reason why here.
Well, essentially, it's going to be like, you're going to see they're going to be emergency clinics. This is going to be like your last stop, your last hope.
Yeah,
that's it, yourlasthopeclinic.com. That's it. And the last hope is probably not going to have hair in your head. You're probably going to end up with a tattooed scalp, or you may have to wear a hairpiece, or you might get some repair work. Listen, and I want to make this clear. I think that a lot of the people in the industry are focusing on the wrong issues. Cosmetic surgery tourism is definitely a problem. But there's nothing wrong with going abroad for a hair transplant or for any cosmetic procedure if you're making the right decisions, if you're doing your research, if you're going to good physicians. There was a Turkish doctor at the ISHRS conference that I was sitting and speaking with, and he goes, I don't think all people are necessarily interested in a 3-star Michelin 3-star rated restaurant. If they can't afford it. And I said, oh, they're interested in it. They just can't afford it. But if you can provide them with that 3-star status. That is as far as like provide them with a great hair transplant for less, then there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that's not what's happening in most of the country here in the U.S. and around the world. So when people are focusing on what's happening in other parts of the world, we got to focus on what's happening here. And what's happening here is growing even more rapidly. There are, on this very block, 4 hair transplant clinics. Right across the street. Well, actually, there's a good one up in this penthouse across the street. But right downstairs is a cosmetic surgery center that's doing neograft. You go right around the corner through, I'm not going to tell you the street. There are 2 plastic surgeons with turnkey devices. And then you walk another quarter of a block and there's another guy.
Amazing. That's
how fast it's growing. Anyway, 888-659-3727. So the point is that it's dangerous out there. You guys are lucky enough to find this broadcast. We will guide you in the right direction. If you could find the cheapest price, great. There's nothing wrong with that. But just make sure that you're not sacrificing quality. Make sure that you understand that if you're doing it in a first world country, the chances are that you're going to that whoever is charging you $2 a graft or $3 a graft for an FUE is cutting a lot of corners to make that happen. And part of those corners are destroying your tissue, hiring inexperienced, unlicensed staff, and essentially not knowing what the fuck they're doing. That's the bottom line.
I'm actually I'm in the middle of editing hair transplant class number 16, which can be found elsewhere on this YouTube channel, talking about this exact issue. And I'm talking about I don't mind giving a kind of like a heads up on what it's entailing, and it's talking about the 3 biggest warning signs when doing hair transplant research. And this
the first one is the guy outside with the arrow. The first one's the guy flipping the arrow outside.
The sandwich board.
That's sign number 1.
But this dives into the nitty gritty kind of stuff that people have been asking me for, and I think it's time that we get into this. How to spot clinics that might not be the best clinics for you. And it's a working title. I don't have a specific title yet, but the 3 warning signs, I'll touch on those, are clinics that are advertising based on price. That's a big warning sign. And then you've got clinics that are advertising based on the type of procedure. And this isn't an FUT strip versus FUE comparison. This is assuming that you're going in for an FUE procedure, and clinics are advertising based on such and such graft procedure. In other words, a machine that they're using, an automated device, and I break down the different devices, where that type of device is the definition or the description of the procedure. And that is a big warning sign in my book, because they're all offering FUE, and because they have a machine that sucks up the graft, one of several different ways, they're calling it that kind of machine procedure. And that is a huge warning sign, because it's not a procedure. It's just a tool.
Yeah, but the problem is, if people weren't such idiots, the world would stop spinning.
Well, of course, but I'm trying to make them not idiots by explaining.
I know that, but when I hear this, and again, I don't mean to be.
It's just a tool.
Right. I don't mean to sound obnoxious, but that is the sad part of life. And the more vulnerable we are, the more desperate we are, especially when we are losing something that we once had. We feel that we are not going to have a happy life, or that our self-esteem is eroding along with our hairlines. We are fucking vulnerable.
Oh, we're desperate.
We are desperate, and we will believe anything. If the guy down the block says, you know what, I charge this much, and I do the procedure this way because this is really the best way to do it.
Based on what? That's what I get into in the video, and this is what pisses me off.
Go ahead.
This is the best way to do it. Well, based on what? What kind of experience do you have to compare this way with any other way out there?
Right.
How many other methods have you used? and how many years of experience do you have? That's what I get into in the video, and it pisses me off that people are saying, well, this is the best procedure out there. According to who?
Look, there's a guy. I don't know if he's friends with a well-known plastic surgeon, a well-known hair transplant. And guys, I'll take your calls in a second. 888-659-3727. They were on a program together. This hair transplant surgeon and this plastic surgeon, and they were besties. Now this plastic surgeon is doing hair transplants in the same area.
And they're not besties.
I have no idea if they're besties anymore, but I can tell you this:
not.
it's definitely hurting this guy, because this guy he's not a board certified plastic surgeon, but he's a facial plastic and reconstructive surgeon. So he's essentially probably an ENT that became a facial plastic guy. And he became famous on a program called Dr. 90210. Now part of his menu is hair transplant surgery. And when you go to the site, and I'm not saying anything about this guy's work, it is a very cursory view of what a hair transplant is and the different types of hair transplants. That is it. That is all you see. And I guarantee you, he is eating his other guy's business for fucking lunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no doubt. There is no doubt about it.
Well, the second or the third warning sign is, wait, did I go with the other ones? Yeah, cost, then the type of procedure. And the third warning sign is basically clinics that are using stock imagery and male models and female models with perfect full heads of hair that may or may not be photoshopped as enticements into the procedure. So you'll see advertisements that have, and this is the great one, cost and the male models, $500 off your such and such graft procedure, and it's got the smiling face of some male model that's never had a hair transplant in his life, or he's wearing a wig, or it's Photoshop, or who knows. And so I go through all of those, and hopefully, I save at least a few people from making a bad decision based on those criteria. And I think it's, this is something that we've been talking about more recently than ever, because of this large push by a lot of doctors to try and combat this type of problem. And the actual problem is that these doctors don't understand what the problem is,
and they also don't know how to distinguish themselves. And guys, you're saying that my mic is too loud. I'm looking at my levels. Maybe Joe's mic is too low. Does my mic sound like it's distorted?
You sound fine on my end. I'm not listening to the actual.
I will. Oh, I do. I definitely noticed that for some reason on your feed on YouTube, it compresses my mic to some degree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you up. I will lower my level slightly, and let's see what happens.
All right.
All right.
Let's see what magic occurs.
Yeah.
Rob in the chat room, how's this? Check, check, 1, 2, 3. Check, check. How's the audio levels for me?
Your audio levels look good. I mean,
Okay.
I'm viewing them on my board and on the software, and they look fine.
Okay. Good stuff. Anyway.
He just has yours clean. All right. Well, anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on. We're going to take some phone calls, but that's the reality. Sadly, the physicians who are trying to somehow control this, desperately rein this in now, after the horse has been out of the barn, they're having a lot of issues because they're focusing on the wrong issues. That's the problem. FUE magazine put out a post the other day, and essentially they republished the article that I wrote that was in the second edition, and they added, I'm about 230 pounds in this video, so if you guys want to see me really fat, you should check it out. But they added what most would say was a pretty prophetic interview with Dr. Alan Bauman about the future of this field. And while Dr. Bauman believed that everyone should have jumped on what he was doing early on, I understand that, and that would have been great if the real doctors would have done it. They chose not to. Yeah. My prediction was that this field is going to go to hell in the handbasket, and that these machines are getting into the wrong hands already, and this was 10 years ago. This is going to only get worse, and the future is not bright unless we take action now.
Yeah.
And I was contacted by Dr. Bauman. He said, I haven't seen that in years. That video gave me chills. I essentially read the tea leaves. I read the future. And these guys, there was a UK doctor that contacted me today. He's very upset with me. He's very angry. Very, very angry. He's mad.
He's just mad.
He's just upset. He's upset about everything. He's upset with my relationship with John Cole. He's upset with FUE Magazine. He's upset with the fact that he thinks that I'm somehow unfairly blaming the ISHRS for their inaction. He's upset that there are doctors who are part of the IHRS who are using technicians in their practices. In most states, it's still legal. But all I can say is the reason this guy's mad is because he's losing. And he doesn't see the big picture. And he's concerned that, the reality of the situation has been put out there that, look, everyone had the opportunity to save people's lives over the years. And those who were in charge chose not to. But at least now they're trying. I got to give them that. So we could all work together. Just, British dude, just chill. Just relax a little bit. And I promise you that, while everyone is talking about, how to protect the future of the field, we're going to fucking build it. We're going to reshape the future of this field. You guys can all be pontificating all you want. You can be sitting around blaming this person and that person and Dr. Cole for being vocal and all this stuff. It's not going to get you anywhere. So there's a wide open window. We're taking the reins, and we're going to. And I have a couple hundred doctors who've contacted me just in the last 2 weeks who are like, look, we got to do this. We have to help these consumers because no one else is doing it.
Well, I think it's telling when you look at the different avenues for discussion, and when and people that are listening and watching this aren't aware of this, but there are some private groups where people are in the industry are discussing the industry as a whole. And I thought it was really interesting how the hair transplant community, which is only for doctors and their staff that are in the industry to discuss the industry, I was surprised at how fast it grew when it was realized who's running the program, who's running the private page, after there was some discussion about another page that was being used and who are the rightful owners of this Facebook page. And so what happened was it's called Hair Transplant Community, and it's moderated by myself. I'm a moderator, and it's moderated by Spencer, who's the admin of this group. And it's like, okay, well, let's just bring everyone over here and start talking about the important issues. And guess what? The membership went through the roof.
We're killing it.
And everyone is excited to be talking about what the real issues are. And I saw this happening right in front of my eyes, and I think it's exciting. And it's not just this group, but it's also the private WhatsApp group that we're dealing with, where doctors are engaging and talking about how to really improve the field, and they're not waiting for meetings to be scheduled to schedule more meetings. And it gives me hope
we
that
are
there's
taking
actually
action every day.
Potential for real change in this industry's future.
Now, let me ask you, are you having trouble hearing me
I hope that
at
made
all?
sense.
Are you having trouble hearing me at all? Is there any type of a...
And I can't even hear you. What happened?
All right, so you're having trouble hearing me, I can tell.
Can you hear me? Wave your hand.
I can, yes.
Jesus Christ. Hold on. I don't know what's going on here.
Let me connect to the computer and see if there's a
I hate when that happens. I'm saying something poignant, and then I can't hear your response. Okay. Let me... Yeah, okay. I hear that.
You hear that?
I just don't hear your voice. I hear you now.
Okay. So what the fuck is going on?
I don't know. Check your because I made sure my allowing Skype to monitor adjust my audio settings. I made sure that was off.
Well,
is that off on your end?
I can check, but people are hanging up. So guys, call back 888-659-3727. Sorry that we've been so verbose, but we had a lot to talk about at the top of the show. Let me check your settings here.
Yeah, everything's working on my end.
Well, it's working now, right?
Yeah, it's working now.
All right.
God, it's so weird. I hate Skype.
Let's see what's going on. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from? Hello.
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 Hey, there you are.
Hey, man, can you hear us? Hello. Hello. I'll give you one more hello. Maybe there's something wrong with my rig.
I hear the static behind him.
I hear you. Caller, if you could hear us, let us know. All right, we'll take another call. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is James from Texas.
James from Texas. Can you turn down your radio or computer or whatever you're listening to us on?
Yes, I just turned it off. Sorry.
Hey, man, what's going on?
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Can't complain.
Good to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm glad you called in. What's going on?
Okay, so I have. I'm gonna try to keep this straightforward and simple. I'm just gonna ask a few questions. That way you can take other calls. But so basically, we know that finasteride is effective, and it keeping our hair. So what are both of your thoughts on the other alternatives to oral? If there's a future and other alternatives aside from oral, just because of these side effects.
I'm assuming that you're asking if you think there's going to be a topical alternatives in the future.
Yes, or maybe even something that I can't even think of, but something related to finasteride.
Well, here's the problem, and I'm not saying that topical stuff doesn't work, because we know that topical finasteride has been beneficial. We know that minoxidil obviously has some degree of benefit. The great thing about taking a pill, in my view, and I'm not a physician, is that it's working all over your scalp. It is hitting you at the hormonal level. Trying to put shit in your hair is a real fucking pain in the ass. So I am not a fan of anything topical. Now, I'm glad it's out there. I'm glad it's available. I'm glad people are making topical preparations to help those who don't do well on finasteride. But yeah, I can guarantee you there are going to be plenty of different topical solutions coming down the pike. The level of effectiveness will vary, and they're working on some right now. But currently what we have works for a large percentage of people. Again, let me preface this by saying I'm not a physician, and there are definitely potential side effects when you take the drug. But we know that it is an effective treatment. And it's really been the only, in my view, truly long-lasting, long-term effective treatment that's been approved by the FDA for the indication of hair loss or male pattern baldness ever.
Which is amazing after all this time.
Well, the reason I got published was because Propecia was approved by the FDA.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that book would have been in some bin somewhere.
So I heard that Mark, I don't remember where I saw this, but I think it's on the website or something to that effect, that they were looking into, even them themselves, into, what was it called? Well, they were looking into developing their own topical finasteride, but I don't know if that's the case.
They did.
True at all?
They did. They actually have the patent for topical Propecia from years ago, and that's why you can't just go online and buy topical Propecia that's made by any major manufacturer in large quantities. You can only get it from compounding pharmacies that make it to order or make large enough batches to where they can sell small quantities of it. But there's not just finasteride. There's also, if you can get to a compounding pharmacy, you can actually talking to your doctor, and there are different doctors that deal with this, but there's topical dutasteride, which inhibits both enzymes that convert testosterone to DHT. And as far as other treatments, there's always something new coming down the pike, and the newest thing that's out there right now is Trinov, which used to be known as Brozzu lotion by Professor Brozzu in Italy. Very new, very little information or evidence that it does really anything that's worth your investment. But time will tell as that becomes more available. There's Lonitin, which is oral minoxidil. Minoxidil being the original topical that's actually effective to any degree. So there's the oral version of that, Lonitin, and different physicians will prescribe different dosages for that. And that's basically it. I mean, you got your all-natural treatments, which frankly make no difference in my opinion, because most of them are some sort of DHT inhibitor, and you have to take a lot of it to get enough DHT inhibited to cause any sort of benefit. And when you're doing that, you wind up usually having some sort of side effect if you're susceptible to side effects on the medication to begin with. So
the one thing that I really regret in my life, can you hear me, Joe?
Yeah, I hear you.
Is that when I wrote the original The Bald Truth, I wrote a chapter on nutritional supplementation that lowered DHT. And I was the first one to put in any volume ever to be published to discuss saw palmetto, Pygium africanum, and stinging nettle for the use in lowering DHT for hair loss. And that set off a fucking wave of companies putting concoctions together. Now, at the time, there was a article that was published, a publication, the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, discussing saw palmetto's effects at a certain dosage on lowering DHT for men with benign prostate hyperplasia. So theoretically, and I spoke to a few physicians, including Dr. Barry Sears, about this, theoretically, we thought that this would work for hair loss. I started to get on it, but I also was getting on it simultaneously with finasteride. I was getting good results. I wrote about it. The problem is these products come from Nature's Pharmacy. And just like Joe said, people were promoting these products as side effect free because the FDA does not regulate nutritional supplements. So they can say whatever the fuck they want. And people were taking all types of different dosages of these herbs, and they were having adverse side effects just like they were with finasteride. As a matter of fact, I've had more complaints from guys who've taken nutritional supplements or herbs like saw palmetto or Pygium africanum than guys who are taking finasteride.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that the fact that Merck is even looking into topical finasteride or even patented it, like Joe said, that seems it's kind of exciting and promising, I guess, especially because they are the company that's producing the most effective drug to treat male pattern baldness. So it makes you think that maybe they're up to something.
Well, when they they patented it a long time ago. They patented it because they wanted to reserve that patent so that they can make it at some point. Now, because they've lost, now I feel like my volume is down. Now, since they lost, they don't have the patent anymore. It's being sold generically. And since there's been so much hoopla, and sadly a lot of fear-mongering in my view, and some ambulance chasing in my view, again, just my opinion,
Not topical.
Now they have the option to make topical, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Yeah.
Would you think that it would be effective in terms of generating the same results with less side effects, in your opinion?
In my opinion, from what I've seen from topical finasteride solutions or concoctions, they work on some people. Are they as effective? I think that depends on the person, but I would say in general and theoretically, I would say no. That's just my opinion. However, look, I mean, you're on finasteride now, right?
I'm not actually. I'm not.
No, it's because you had side effects?
No. Well, I'm afraid of the side effects. So I actually have 3 months worth of 1 milligram that I haven't taken yet. I think what I'm going to do is I plan on ordering some blood tests so I can see what it is before, and then maybe down the road if I start taking finasteride, I can check my blood levels again and then just kind of compare.
Well, that's fine. You should definitely talk to your doctor about it. But I can tell you that in most cases, I mean, you're reading a lot of stuff online. You're watching videos, and people are. I mean, the information. There's a lot of physicians out there, and I hate to say this. I'm sure some of them are genuine, but there's a lot of guys out there that are jumping on the post-finasteride syndrome bandwagon. With that said, I believe that there is a subset of men who are dealing with this real issue. There's no doubt in my mind. There's something to this. But I think it's really sad. You know, and I'll give you an example. There are companies out there, and John Cole actually mentioned this in the chat room. There's one company called Keeps, and there's another company called Hims that are selling generic finasteride, and Hims is selling generic Viagra. Well, I should say generic Propecia and generic Viagra. There are more guys this year who have taken finasteride without even really recognizing what they're taking, with a very low incidence of side effects than we've seen the last decade. And I think that these companies have really created a resurgence of guys who are actually able to save their hair and stop their hair loss, because they listen to the doctor, but they don't really know what finasteride is. They don't really know what the fuck is going on. So they just order this shit online, they take it, they don't think about it, and they grow their hair back or keep their hair.
Yeah. I think a lot of what happened, or at least just based on the very little research that I've done, in terms of post-finasteride syndrome, I believe that.
By the way, are you like riding a horse, or you're on a bicycle or something? What's going on?
No, I'm sorry. Is it can you hear me very well at all, or I'm actually driving?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's kind of like there's noise, and it's like I don't know there's wind, or if you're on a horse or something. You sound like you're bouncing up and down. It's okay, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me well. I'll try to keep it short.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think that maybe a lot of this stemmed from a study by, is it Dr. Orwig in 2012, I believe?
But sadly, that wasn't a study. That was that would be called, even though they referenced it as a study, essentially
like a questionnaire.
Yeah, I had Orwig on the program, and essentially what he did was he contacted a group of people who were on a website.
Oh, no, this guy? I remember this.
Complaining about that they were suffering from long-term adverse side effects and post-finasteride syndrome. And then he conducted a survey, both by phone and I think in writing, but I'm pretty sure by phone. And then they concluded, based on a survey, that this is what was happening. So I am not saying that the guys who took the survey weren't really suffering. I'm just saying that that cannot be construed as a study. So exactly. I would say that everyone who took that survey, who were on this post-finasteride syndrome website, were definitely suffering with adverse side effects.
They already were, and so he's just asking about their pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
Not pre-existing before finasteride, but pre-existing before the questions.
And so I guess my point is, I can guarantee you all these people were suffering.
Yeah, it sounds like he selected from a pool people that were already suffering from these conditions, and I just confirmed what he already selected.
Well, what he did is he was asking people questions that were already having side effects from the medication, and then from those questions extrapolated a percentage or likelihood of people having sexual side effects if they take the medication. Two completely different things, and there's no connection whatsoever with people that are already having side effects, asking them about their side effects, and then the likelihood of people that aren't taking the medication of having side effects if they do start taking the medication.
You know what's funny? When I had him on the program, I had a whole group of people who were like, wow, I really appreciate that Spencer had him on the show, and he asked all the right questions, and now we understand exactly how the survey was conducted. And then there was the whole group of people that are saying that I was kind of like manhandling this poor guy, and I was trying to somehow...
you were suppressing the information.
I was suppressing the information. I was bullying this guy when all I was doing was asking him the right questions about what they were promoting as a study. And he answered them very honestly.
Yeah.
And that was it. I was like, you know what? I think, and I'm glad that he did this survey because I thought it was an important survey. But to say that it was a study, I would say it's a misnomer. It's just inappropriate.
And I think it's interesting that you mentioned that Hims and Keeps, that they are, what did you say, resurging or
yeah, they've created a resurrecting. Yeah. They've created a resurgence of young finasteride users. Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that as popular and famous they've gotten, or whatever you would say, that there hasn't been any news. There hasn't been anything in the news that it was linked to these side effects or anything.
Well, don't you think there would be a class act? Don't you think these ambulance chasers would start a class action lawsuit against one of these companies by now?
Right. That's what I'm thinking. I've just been waiting for it, but it hasn't happened, which is to my surprise.
Do you know how many prescriptions these guys fill?
Yeah,
they're huge. They're everywhere. Everywhere.
And I guess unless Dr. Ulrich does another, what did you call it, a
survey?
No,
listen, yeah. I'm not saying that there aren't people who order from these companies who aren't suffering from adverse side effects. But what I'm saying is you would think that based on what you read on the internet, that the numbers would be significant enough, since these guys are in the crosshairs and they're so big now, that they would be focused on, and that you would see the class action lawsuits against them. Now, will it happen at some point? Who knows? That's what attorneys do. And by the way, if anyone's suing anybody for their issues with finasteride, don't get involved with a class action suit. Do it individually.
Exactly.
You're not going to make any fucking money if the only people that make the money in class action lawsuits are the attorneys.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. All right, man, listen, we're going to take another phone call.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool. If you don't mind, I'd ask you this, and I'll just hang up, and you can just answer it on your own.
Sure.
Okay. Do you believe that hair follicles die or they stay dormant? Because if they don't die, then that's kind of nice. I'll let my hair fall, and maybe there's potential for future promising treatments. And so, yeah, basically, do you believe that hair follicles die or stay dormant? And I'll leave you with that. Thank you for taking my call.
All right, thanks for the call.
Thanks for calling, James.
Take care. All right, James.
Bye.
We just let him hang up and not answer the question.
Okay, moving on. Next caller.
The theory is that hair follicles actually just miniaturize to the point that they, in most cases, continue to grow some vellus hair.
Yeah.
However, there are some guys out there that have been bald for so long that their head actually looks like fucking Formica. There is no vellus hair on their scalp. So I would say in those particular cases, they probably have completely dormant or dead hair follicles. But we don't know.
There's some sort of study where
after 5 years or whatever.
Obviously had to do with mice, but bald mice, and then something about testosterone production being cut off, and then, pardon the pun, and then follicles being rejuvenated. It was years ago. I remember when I was working in the clinic, I remember hearing about this study which indicated that the follicles don't die. They just go into a state of extreme miniaturization,
and that's in general, that's the case. That's the theory. Yeah. That's what we think, that the follicles never actually really die. However, I think there is a subset of guys that are just completely fucked. They've been bald for so long, and you don't see those vellus hairs. You can actually look at their scalp under magnification, and you're not going to. For some reason, I don't hear myself. You're not going to see.
You need sunglasses.
Yeah, you're not going to see that. So I don't know. I mean, theoretically, they don't die, but they also say that medication will only help to revitalize or reverse the miniaturization of hairs that have reached a certain miniaturization level.
Right.
Which is, they give a year range, which is about 5 years of miniaturization, but I don't necessarily know if that's the case. I have seen guys who have had very good results after, balding for a decade, and all of a sudden the miniaturization just reversed.
Yeah.
Let's take a phone call. Hey, man, you are on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
It's Maury from Florida.
Hey, Maury, what's happening, man? What's going on?
Not much, guys. Hey, welcome back, Spencer. Good to see you on the show again.
Thank you, man. I'm trying to get the fuck out of here, but they keep bringing me back.
You quoting from The Godfather now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
Guys, it is so good to see both of you again. Lots of good things. I really enjoyed Joe in your absence. Joe, you did a great job. Just
thank you.
Saying that, remind you. It was weird. The last time I was watching you guys, YouTube exploded, and I don't know if you noticed that a lot of people you dropped off. I ended up watching your show 2 days later. You guys didn't. You guys continued and soldiered on, but I couldn't watch you, and I was very frustrated because I wanted to give you guys a call.
Well, here's the good news. If something like that ever happens, go to gfqlive.tv, and the video will still be up. Or you can download iHeartRadio, and you will find GFQ on iHeartRadio, and you'll hear my program. Or iTunes Radio, or Stitcher Radio. So you could always listen.
Nice. Okay, cool.
But let's hope.
Yeah, I probably would have called us.
That's an anomaly, though, for YouTube to fall apart like that.
Yeah, it was really unusual.
It was historic. They were reporting it on the news. It was crazy. Anyway, so just wanted to give you guys a call. I sent you some pictures, Joe, recently because you'd asked. So I sent you a more recent picture of my progress with finasteride.
I have them ready and waiting to go up on the screen.
Yeah, I
knew you were going to call.
If you want to show them.
I knew you were going to call. How many months are you out from beginning finasteride?
Right. So let's see. I think we're talking about April or May of this year. It's pretty much where it started. So May, June, July, August, September, October. No, yeah. So we're looking at about coming up on the 6th month, basically.
Okay. So hang on a second. Share screen. I'm going to pull up your images. Here is the caller before any medication at all.
Uh-huh.
There we go.
Yeah, that's me.
That is you.
Yep.
And then here is the top. After what? Let's see, October. So May, June, July, August, September, October. So was it 5-6 months?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's actually pretty significant.
It is. Yeah, it's very, very. Yeah, I mean that's amazing.
And
I mean, that was actually a Formica head, my man.
That's why I was waiting for this. I knew Maury's going to call, and it's like, okay, I can't wait to throw this up because this is a Formica head. And look at that crown.
Wow.
Yeah. No, dude, I gotta tell you guys, I am so grateful that I listened to your show, and yeah, I mean, really, listen to your show, and that I'm following your advice because, damn, And another piece of really happy news is I'm seeing somebody.
You're kidding me.
28 years old.
Really?
Huh?
Yep. I
Good
met her
for
at one
you,
of these,
buddy.
Heavy metal shows. Yeah, man. She's adorable too. This girl was she went to one of these shows, and I mean she was in the audience. It was a very small venue.
How old are you again, Morty?
49.
49. Yeah, dude, that's perfect. What is it? Half
Telling you,
half
right?
your age plus 7.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you know, she's from here. She's Latina, and you know, she's got that wonderful accent, and she speaks a little Spanish, which is good.
Is she
So do I.
is she Cuban?
No, actually, it's interesting. She's a mix. One of her parents is from Spain, and the other one was from Italy, but they met here in Florida.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
Wow.
she's got this whole Betty Page thing going on. It's
nice.
Dude, that sounds
Okay.
fucking hot.
Yeah.
She's gonna destroy you, break your heart, but enjoy it, man. Fucking have fun.
Fuck yeah.
You know, just don't sign any papers. You know,
Yeah.
make sure that, lock up her cell phone when she's in your house.
Get snipped.
Yeah. Don't have any children. Yeah, get snipped. Make sure you wear protection and just fucking enjoy it, man.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Good for you, buddy.
yeah,
I'm happy. I'm happy to hear this. This is good. Good news.
Yeah, no, because you don't understand, man. I was like, man, what did I do coming down here? You know, what the fuck? You know, but I went to a show. She was there. She showed up, and she had on a pink wig, and this tight little black number on, and you know, and I was like, there's no fucking way. And I bought her a drink, and we watched, and she just kind of leaned her little head on my shoulder, and I was like, okay. And we've been out, I guess, 2-3 times since then. We're going out tomorrow night. So
have you had sex with her yet?
Not yet. Taking the time.
Dude, it's your third date.
Dude, you're 49. You don't have much time left, okay?
It's the third.
Oh, damn, man. You're going there, are you?
So wait a second. This is your third. You're going on your third date?
Yep.
All right. You got to, at the very least, she has to touch your penis.
Okay.
No, I mean, otherwise you just have to move on.
Well,
if her hand is not down your
we've gotten
pants,
first base.
if her hand is not down your pants at this stage, at the third date, then it's possible she's using you for dinners. It's possible that she just thinks you're a cool guy, and you're like, oh, wait a second, this guy, you know, he can take care of some stuff. Maybe I need a sugar daddy. Maybe this is a sucker. Hand on penis, and then it's a go.
Then there's a fourth date.
Yo, all right. You know, if that's how it's got to go.
Look, and this is not.
It's for you.
Yeah, I'm not saying to do anything that she doesn't want to do. Obviously, you want her to want this, and you're not going to force yourself upon this poor woman. But you want to make sure that there is a real connection, a real physical interest. Otherwise, get the fuck out of there.
I do have to ask you. Do you have a one of those cameras you have up on your like a dash cam? Do you have a dash cam in your car?
Yeah. I think I do. I'm
Make
not
sure
really
it's on.
Okay.
And everywhere you go, have your iPhone in your pocket recording, so you can document that shit in case there's anything that he did this, he did that. You gotta protect yourself.
Oh man.
Dude, listen, Morty, I'm not kidding you. You're dealing with a 28-year-old chick who you met with a pink wig. She was wearing a pink wig at a rock show.
Well, I mean, the first time we met, I mean, she's been wearing, she's been having her own hair since then, and and we've gone to a couple of shows with.
Look, I'm not saying this girl could be the love of your life. You can get married and have children and all this, happy horse
Well,
shit.
she don't want kids, so that's good.
Okay,
She doesn't want kids.
or she could be like, this guy's okay enough to hang out with. Looks like he's got a little bit of money, and I'm going to get as many meals and his shows out of this sucker as I possibly can. And that's it. Or you guys can start having sex, and then she's going to think, this guy's got some money. Let me see what I can get out of this guy. There's a lot of different things. You have to be on guard. I'm sorry about that. I wish that I wasn't so, and I'm not even bitter. Nothing ever happened to me. I've just always been on guard my entire life.
All right.
My advice is, and I guess I base a lot of my advice on experiences of people I know. And I know a lot of guys who are in our age range who are with young women, and it usually ends badly. Now, with that said, the first few weeks are incredible. So in my logical head, I'm like, I give these things 2 months, and then I make the move. I'll get out before I can get burned.
I mean, it's, you know what? It's a smart move. I mean, she's kind of already led me, told me about where she wants to be. Like, she says she basically teaches English as a second language online to some folks overseas. She wants in a year she wants to move to Spain. This is what she's been telling me. So, this is going to be a day-to-day kind of thing. I don't really expect anything long-term from this.
She wants to go to Spain, and she wants you to pay for it.
There you go.
Well, she didn't.
Bingo.
Dude, I'm just being cynical, dude. She could be awesome. First, just enjoy it. Go to bed with her, sleep with her. You're gonna really have a fucking great time.
Yeah, man.
You after you screw her, you're gonna be looking at this girl and you'll be like, wow, she's so young and beautiful. She's gonna smell great. Everything's gonna be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you're gonna get the crazy texts. So just be prepared. Yeah. Get a burner phone.
Where you at? Where are you? Who you with?
No.
No, all we're saying is, just watch your shit, man. That's it. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself. Just watch yourself, and I'm happy for you. As far as I mean, it's a great, I'm not gonna say accomplishment, but it's good to know that you're still in the game, and that you can keep the company of a woman that age, and that you're possibly going to be getting laid for a while. That's great.
Yeah, this is the extent of my expectations at this point. This is, like I said before, just taking it day by day. I'm no spring chicken, and more importantly, I know I've been mishandled by my fair share of abusers. So I know what can happen. So it's just like I said, man. I'm just taking it day by day. I'm going to see her tomorrow. We're going to go play some ping pong. We're going to go have some dinner, and we'll see where it goes.
Dude. Good luck.
And Nico in the chat room says, and he didn't have to get a hair transplant. Win.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely,
100%.
That is a win.
Oh yeah, no.
Nico is asking Morty, are you still taking Dr. W's formula still with the finasteride? Dr. Wesley's.
Yes, I am. I'm double fisting it. The answer is I'm taking Dr. Wesley's topical in addition to the oral.
Pardon me, you're doing what? You're double what?
Double fisting.
I wasn't sure I heard that correctly. Okay. Good for you.
You know what, dude? You can't argue with results, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Exactly.
This conversation is going in a strange direction.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm happy for your hair.
You're so open about your hair loss and your medication. I mean, have you talked about baldness at all with this girl?
Not yet. No, not yet.
Well, it's not like you have to ease her into the idea that you're bald.
Like I'm not hiding it. I mean, it's so freaking obvious.
Yeah, it's not like
it hasn't mattered one either.
It's not like you have to have the talk with her. And by the way, I'm bald.
I'm bald.
And that shit's out there for the world to see. So
I know this may come as a surprise to you.
Yeah,
honey.
Look, I wanted to wait till I got to know you better.
Yeah, right.
But I got to admit something to you. I'm bald.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Actually, to steer it back into that direction, since Nico brought up the hair loss again, I did pay a visit to a certain somebody down here, and it wasn't any of the fellows that you might think. I actually drove 3 hours to Sarasota to go and see Joe Greco.
Joe Greco.
Okay.
Yes, I did because. Spencer, you've mentioned on a number of occasions about how helpful he's been to a relative of yours.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mentioned your name, and he was glad to hear you, and he sends his regards. I spent $100 to have a consult with him, not strictly about my hair. It's actually I've got a really bad problem with my Achilles tendon, and one of the other services that he offers is PRP treatments for tendons and joints and ligaments.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I figured, let me go talk to him about it. And so I spent a good hour with him. And I wanted to, just share my experience. He's a really nice guy. He seems very honest and forthright. He actually, it's funny because I think he feels like he may have gotten burned by some of his colleagues who he basically showed some of his wares to, and they ran with the ideas that he came up with, at least according to his claim, including using some of the terms that he coined.
Yes, he got burned. He got burned by everybody. Everybody took his ideas, took his trademarks, and took or I don't know if they're trademark, but just took the terms that he came up with and just ran with them, and and that's it's everywhere now. So he got burned for sure.
Yeah, so it was kind of he told me his story. The other thing that he also talked to me about is some of the other things that he's been doing, which are genuinely interesting. And I wanted to get you guys' opinion on some of the other things. Oh, and to his credit, I went in there talking about my ankle, and I said, "Oh, by the way, how about my hair?" And he said flat out no. He said he would not touch my hair because he did not believe that it would do anything. However, I showed him those two pictures that you just showed your audience, and he was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but he has a couple of other mixtures that he does. One of them involves Wharton's jelly, and the other one involves, I think it's either amniotic fluid or umbilical cord tissue. And I don't know, I just wanted to talk to you guys about it, to hear what you guys had to say about it.
Well, he believes that the stem cells that he's using, which from what I understand are from umbilical cord stem cells, are increasing the, success rate of all of his PRP, but that is it's an additional cost. But I have the person that I know that goes to see him had it done once, felt that it was basically the same, and then decided to go and have just regular PRP again. Doesn't mean that it's not working. You see some pretty impressive pictures that he shows, especially for hair.
Oh yeah.
And also alopecia areata, which is he's getting some really impressive results.
Yeah, and that's the thing is amniotic fluid is like one of the or amniotic cells are among the more recent developments in PRP combination therapies that several clinics are dealing with. So it's fairly new. Some of the doctors I work with are talking about it, and some doctors I don't work with are talking about it. And potentially it could be a boost. It could be a good boost to I'll say not questionable, but a very niche treatment, which is PRP. And as we've said before, and Spencer was talking about earlier in a previous episode, I believe it was Dr. Rose did a study. Dr. Rose and who else, Spencer?
And Bernie Nussbaum.
Yeah, and Bernie Nussbaum talking about the different centrifuges that they used to truly test the efficacy.
Well, they're all, not just the centrifuges, but also the PRP systems themselves.
Or the systems, the systems in general.
The kits that they're buying from the manufacturers. And not all PRP is created equal. And I think that Joe probably, Dr. Greco probably told you that as well. And, I'm not saying that he's bitter about things. I just think he's disappointed in his colleagues and also in the cosmetic surgery world for kind of jumping the gun, really not doing what he's doing, and claiming that they are. And sadly, what's happening is a lot of people are being ripped off.
Yep.
That's just the way it is.
And I talked about that in hair transplant class, episode 16.
Yeah, no, I mean the things that he was talking about in terms of the way he produces his injectables are completely different. He doesn't even use a centrifuge. He generates the fluids through completely different means. It involves changing pressure. He does it by dehydrating the blood dehydrating the plasma in some fashion, and he's able to get a lot of those
growth factors
like IGF-1. Yeah, those growth factors at a much higher percentage in volume for the same amount of blood. And all this stuff genuinely pretty interesting. The other thing that was interesting was, like I said, the whole practice he has around treating things other than hair. He showed me an example of a poor woman who had this really bad wound that just wouldn't heal. There's a couple of three cases. He showed me one fellow who had a really bad electrical burn on his hands, and one elderly woman who had a sore on her leg where they were planning on amputating because they couldn't budget. And in all three of these cases, he was able to get these particular nasty wounds healed. And I saw it, and it unfortunately reminded me a lot of a problem that my dad had when he was still alive. He had a really bad case of osteoporosis of the jaw, which was also one of those cases wound healing just wasn't working. And I wish to God that I had known Joe back then, because they had been talking about stem cells for bone regrowth and for other these types of wound things. So he's doing some really, and we're not talking about cosmetics now. We're talking about actual, regenerative medicine that, you're using to heal people who, would have really adverse lives without it. And after I got home, I actually did some research to see how this stuff is being used in other places. And they're using it for things like healing people's spinal columns and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's definitely something to this.
Well, listen, there's no doubt that there's something to this. And I've seen people get all kinds of good results for different applications. The biggest problem that I keep repeating is that sadly Joe Greco does not get the credit in the hair world that he deserves, in my view. And he's certainly not getting the credit in the orthopedic world or, this guy is doing a tremendous amount of, research, R&D, working with some really important people, all over the world, and really focusing on this type of regenerative medicine. And it's almost as though like he's a footnote when I see people, especially in the hair world, writing about PRP, talking about PRP. Everyone's coming up with their own fucking bullshit protocols. When I would say Joe, and again, I have no financial connection to Joe Greco. I would say that Joe has done all the legwork. And it's unfortunate that there's just a lot. There's a guy in New York that's charging like $5,000 a pop, for PRP with A-cell. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I believe you. And quite frankly, Joe's prices were pretty reasonable. And I'm like I said, I've been fighting with this Achilles tendonitis for probably a good 3 or 4 months because I run and I haven't been able to run the way I'd like. So, I think I may go and see him.
I'm considering getting the P shot. So, Joe would be the only one I trusted.
How bad is your issue, Maury?
I mean, it's what they call an England's deformity.
By the way, I was just about to get him off the fucking phone, and he asked the question.
No, I'm just curious because this is a subject of interest for me right now.
Like I have a second freaking heel. It's bad.
Wow.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. I said I have what they call an Eglin's deformity, which looks like I have a second heel, like there's a heel behind my heel. That's how bad it is.
So she hasn't seen this. The 28-year-old hasn't seen this yet.
I was going to say, so you've not taken your shoes off.
No, I have not taken off my shoes yet, no.
All right. Before, I would say do not take off your shoes until after you screw her.
What you should actually do is like whenever you guys decide to go to the pool together or the beach, just wear a thong to distract from the heel.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, hopefully Dr. Greco can fix this little problem. You guys are the best.
All right,
man.
Marty.
I love watching you and I love listening to you guys. You have a great night, okay?
All right, you too. Good luck, and let us know how you do with this chick, man. I'm wishing you the best of luck.
Good luck, buddy.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Phone number is 888-659-3722. When she sees that heel, he's finished.
He's done.
888-659-3727 is the phone number. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is John calling from Australia. How are you?
Hey, John from Australia.
Hey,
What's
John.
happening? Where in Australia are you?
Melbourne. Have you been here?
I have not, and that is one place on my bucket list. But here's my problem. I hate long flights.
Oh, dude, it's so long. I just back. It's long. You'll get a headache. You'll get sick when you get here, but it's worth it.
Well, I mean, it does give you the opportunity to get drunk all day for like a day and a half.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that always helps.
We like it. Hey, so just a quick question. I've been doing time-restricted fasting, and I don't think I've heard anyone say when the best time to take finasteride is, and also if you should do it on a fasted stomach.
Well, there's a thought that the best time to take finasteride is before you go to sleep.
Right.
And the reason for that is that essentially your testosterone levels are at their highest point when you wake up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so taking it before bed, giving yourself that 8 hours, and then while it's in your system, when your testosterone levels spike, you're probably not going to have much of an increase or the DHT increase won't be as concerning. I don't necessarily think it makes a fucking difference. I take mine at night, but just because I just remember to take it after this program every week. And as far as taking it on an empty stomach, I don't think that it has any. Again, we're both not physicians, but I don't see where it would have any extra benefit. But who knows?
I've heard this question before, even when I was working in clinics, and doctors I was working with all agreed across the board. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. Take it when you can remember it. Set up some sort of routine or notification that reminds you on a daily basis at a specific time, because there is a general idea that if you're going to take it, you should pick or choose morning, afternoon, or evening, but stick to it and don't alternate. Stick to the routine, and that, regardless of what time it is the best strategy for your intake.
Yeah, good. No, I'm going to do it at night. I think even the fact that that's meant to be better could be a bit of a placebo benefit at the least.
Could be. The only issue I see with taking it at night is if you like to party and you go out and drink a lot, you might forget when you come stumbling home at night, 2:00 in the morning, like I do. But I take it in the morning. I leave it by my toothbrush, and I take it in the morning right after I brush my teeth. And because I only brush my teeth 3 times a week, I only take my medication 3 times a week.
I'll tell you how fucked up I was. I used to carry the pill if I was going out, and I used to do the show on Sundays, so I used to take my pill on Sundays.
Yeah,
I would carry the pill to the bar.
Yeah, I mean, that's really fun. I was just thinking, it's not an issue. I would be happy to just carry it around with me.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Like if some chick asks me, what do you take? Can I have one? I'm like, no, you don't want this. This is my hair loss drug. Pop it, and that's it. No problem. Go ahead.
Here's the question. Is there a professional way, because you probably know this, but like I've got a fairly decent head of hair, but some days I wake up and it's like, it's definitely my psychology that goes, shit, your hair looks crap today, you're balding. And then other days when I'm ecstatic, I'm like, fuck, you got a hair gift from the gods, your hair. And I'm just wondering if there's a way you can get your hair professionally counted to get rid of the psychological kind of games that our minds play, so you can know that, all right, it's fine, it's the same as last year.
I don't know, maybe hypnosis? Maybe see a good therapist? All I can tell you is this: is that I have really good days, and I have relatively good days, and then I have some really fucking bad days, and that is the way I've been living my life for over 30 years.
And that's why I come home at 2 a.m. after a night of drinking.
Yeah, I watch myself on. Forget about the show. Sometimes, like, if people take video of me, whatever it is, or if I'm going out, I'm like, wow, shit, man, I look fucking good tonight, man. I'm on fleek. My hair looks really good. And then I'll see a video of myself. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like a bird's nest. I mean, it looks like a fucking tumbleweed on my head. So,
dude, your hair's definitely very good, but no one's going to be able to tell you otherwise. So,
well, that's very nice. You're looking at me through the internet, you know, and all that stuff. When you look up, I was at this fucking conference, man. I just had to tell people, dude, come on, stop looking at my hairline, man. Just check the eyes. It's like I'm a woman walking in with huge tits to this thing. You know,
eyes down here, boys.
Yeah,
eyes down here.
Absolutely,
eyes down here.
But yeah, I mean, there's. Go ahead.
No, there's one other bizarre thing I've seen online. That's right, online, the infamous internet, and it's just a really uncommon thing. And I must say, I don't have a full beard, but I would obviously never get a transplant because I'm saving that for when I finally get a hair transplant in 10 or so years. But I'm just wondering, you see these guys are rubbing Rogaine into their beards now to get thicker beards. Have you come across this?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been pretty
Many
common
times.
for a long time. Now people are using Verminiprost or, you know, Latisse to do that as well.
Yeah.
Look,
Is it?
I don't know what it's like not to have a full beard. So, you know, but I guess if someone really wants a beard, then I understand why they would do it. But
How old are you, John?
To me, you're not born with a beard necessarily. So to me, it's kind of... Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's my birthday today. I'm 33, and I didn't think I'd still have hair at this age, so I'm a happy guy.
First of all, happy fucking birthday, man.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I would play some birthday music for you, but
Are you okay? So you're talking about improving your beard. Is it because you got patches in your beard? Can you grow any facial hair? Like, what's the issue?
It's literally like 2 patches, and like it's something like maybe I would put a little thing there, but I'm obviously like trying to use finasteride as long as I can to keep that donor area, because I know like. You know, 10 years, I'm never going to go bald. I'm going to get a hair transplant one day. That's just 100% done. But it's prolonging that.
Well, you never want to live bald. But if you're going to get a hair transplant, that means you're going to go bald.
Right.
Perhaps. I just, no, my mentality is I will fight that to the end. I never want to be a bald man. So I'm trying to save, hence being on the drugs, I'm trying to save that donor area and keep it good for as long as I can.
Well, and that's actually that's smart, and I understand that. I'm of the same ilk as you are. If it comes to the point where, and I have glued it on, where I'm just gluing on a yarmulke of hair, it's going to happen. If I end up having to get a glued-on yarmulke with a hair transplant in the front, it's going to happen. If I have enough hair to get a full, nice, decent head of hair like Joe, then that will happen. And if I don't, if it gets to the point where it all just falls out, I don't know, man. I either may actually go down under and start a new life and shave my head, or...
You're welcome.
Well, thank you. I really don't know. I mean, you know, my hope is that I will just be able to maintain what I have, and if it slowly progresses into my 60s and 70s, I'll be happy, you know?
Yeah. I think you're going to be fine, but it's like I meet people and they'll literally say, "Oh, you've got a full head of hair," and they don't get it. I've had this fear since I was 10, by the way. I don't know if that's normal. Yeah. I remember being 10 years old and looking into the mirror and going, "Fuck, you're going to lose your hair one day." It's since then.
That's not normal. That's not. You sound like you Joe from Staten Island, and I don't know if you even know who he is because he doesn't call the show anymore. But that is something triggered that in your life. Was it that you saw that your father was bald? Did your mother talk about going bald?
I'm not sure. I think I remember this girl like pulls the front of my hair and a little bit of hair came out. But I mean, it has like receded a bit, and it's not a perfect line. It's just, I think you realize it's like some people just can't see like subtle balding. They're just like, "Oh, you've got hair." It's either you got hair or you don't. But I'm like pretty OCD with like not wanting the perfect hairline, but just wanting a decent hairline. You know?
Look, I get it, and I think, you know, I'm OCD. I also have you know, different issues, but there's no doubt that when I was going through the initial throes of hair loss, listen, I turned my entire life into this. This is my career. How fucked up is that? I got to be so fucked up about my hair loss that I turned this into my life's work. So, you know, I totally get it.
It's actually amazing because when you listen to the show, you're like, God, I'm not the only, like, with all due respect, sick guy out there.
No, you're probably, and I may be sicker than you. I don't know. I just happen to be making money from it.
Yeah, which is a good idea.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, listen, thank you so much for the call. I wish you the best of luck. And I'm glad that, and listen, the bottom line is you're 33, it's your birthday, happy birthday, and you still have hair. So
you're 33, it's your birthday, and you're calling a show to talk to two strangers about your hair. Go enjoy your birthday.
I'm cooking lunch. It's all good.
Yeah,
Hey,
but...
thanks keep it up.
All right, man. Listen, thank you so much for the call, man.
Thanks for calling.
Take care. Call from Melbourne, Australia.
On his birthday.
Fucking internet is wild, man.
Love it.
Wild.
Love it.
I love it, and I have a love-hate relationship with the internet.
Of course. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know?
Let's see. I was looking for a photo to show my own obsession with hair.
Guys, by the way, as soon
concealers.
As soon as we drop a phone line, there's one that's open. So if you want to call us, feel free. The phone number is 888-659-3727. That is 888-659-3727. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm gonna throw this image. Actually, I need to switch to my different computer, but I want to show like we're talking about the obsession, OCD about hair, and I've never shown you this picture, and I thought of it the other day, so I'm going to pull it up. If we got a caller, we can take the call because it's going to take me a minute to grab it.
That's all right. He just hung up.
And let's see. Great. Two-factor authentication. Good God. It's never that easy anymore.
Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. Screw that. It's too much to do right now. But I'll have it ready for the next show. But yeah, it just got me thinking about my own OCD about my hair back in this. I'm looking at the photo right now. 1993. I had my hair transplant, and I was using. We did talk about this. I was using GLH.
Oh yeah.
Good looking hair, otherwise known as hair in a can.
The original.
Yeah. The original hair loss concealer sold on late night TV programs by Ron Popeil of Ronco fame, and the older guys will understand what we're talking about. And you had to order it through the mail. Internet didn't exist, and I used to spray this shit in my hair, and I forgot what I didn't realize what my hair color was. I thought my hair was lighter than it really was because when I was younger it was pretty light colored, and I would find these pictures of myself where the sides are the color it is now, but the top was light brown dark blonde, and so I looked like a skunk.
Dude.
And I couldn't stop using it.
I saw that picture, and let me tell you something. Ron Popeil, it's Popeil. He is the king, the original, the OG direct TV infomercial god.
Yeah.
This guy was doing infomercials, direct to consumer television in I think the late 1950s.
That long, yeah.
That's when he started. And we could check it out. But, geez, I can't even hear myself. All right, guys, 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It's Nico. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Hey, Nico, what's going on,
Nico.
man?
What's happening?
What's up, buddy?
Chilling.
Hey, quick question, and I think it's just one question.
All right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Okay. I'll save it for Friday's chat show, man. Joe's chats on Friday, the chat room just must save you so much time, man. Fucking, I don't think of so many questions while I'm talking to you guys because I regret in the infancy when I talk, so I can't think of all the good questions, but I'll try to think of some for Friday. My question is, you once mentioned a case, Joe, about like a really bad case of shock loss once, maybe at the clinic you used to, the clinic you used to work for some time ago. And you said the guy probably at first almost regretted having the transplant because the shock loss was so bad where it was really basically slick bald in the donor on one point. He had strep. I don't know if you recall that case or not. And then you said maybe it took about like a year to grow his hair back in the donor. Does that ring a bell?
He had a strip surgery and shock loss along the. Where was it in the donor area?
Yeah.
And it was
like.
Yeah. I believe I remember the case that I was talking about. Yeah.
So how unusual is it for? I mean, I guess you said it took maybe about a year to grow back. Is that right? Something like
fully,
that?
Yeah, fully. But that's to the point where it blended in with the rest of the hair, right? Because, it started growing back. It started growing back, Emphasis on started, much sooner. But it had, it takes time to get to a certain length where it blends, everything. So it didn't take a year for the sprouts to first break through the scar tissue. Yeah, or the skin tissue, bordering the scar line, but it took roughly that long for the
blend factor,
for the length factor to catch up with the rest of it. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just so surprised. I thought maybe it took that long for some sort of recovery to happen, but
All right, so Nico, what's your situation right now? You're how long out of your transplant?
I'm now 1 year and 2 months.
Okay,
but see, my whole fuck up was taking finasteride after the fact. Biggest fuck up ever. I think I caught everything in the telogen phase. Yeah. So it was just really just a strange situation going on with me, and I definitely got hit with shock loss in the donor. Fin seems to be working, but it's still I'm still trying to figure my shit out, and it's hard to know what's up.
Well, here's the thing. If you did catch your hair in a telogen state and you did cause a telogen effluvium by getting on the drug, and again, we're not physicians, the good news is it will eventually, in most cases, you're gonna make up for lost time. Things are going to start to grow back. Things will probably start to fill in, and you might see that having the hair transplant, unfortunately, it was bad timing.
Yep.
But you may end up with a really good end result. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, just wait and see what happens. So, being patient's the hardest part. You guys always talk about the freak out factor, just going through the transplant, the emotional roller coaster, but man, starting that fin after the fact definitely fucked with me and all the shedding and shit. And
now, what made you start the drug after having the transplant? Was it suggested that you get on it after the transplant, or during your consultation, were you asked if you were using the drug, and was it suggested at all that maybe you get on the drug before the transplant?
Definitely. I was asked, and definitely not to shit on the clinic or whatever. I was asked obviously if I was taking anything, and I said no. At that time, I'd stopped taking. I was on Klonopin for some time, and then I'd stopped taking it, and that's where I sort of wish there was some sort of, psychological intervention and more questions, as far as checking in with the patient about where he's at emotionally.
I have a question. So how'd you stop taking Klonopin? You just stopped it?
No, fuck no. No way was I stopping it cold turkey. Around the time my mom got sick, so I was on the drug for a long-ass time, which was another issue. I was on it for about, 6-7 years. Long time. More than anyone should be on a benzo, probably.
Some people live on benzos, and if they're able to keep their dose low, and again, I'm not a doctor, but if they're able to not have to increase their dose, there's really been no sign or no issues with long-term brain damage. It's the people. The problem with benzos is you become addicted to the point, and you also become resistant to the drug. You have to keep taking more and more.
Right. No, I was on a low dose, 0.5 only.
Good for you.
But and it helped. But I also got to a point where I said I didn't want to depend on it, and it wasn't like Valium, where you sort of consciously take something to chill out.
Yeah.
It was just my day to day.
I love that shit. You put benzos in front of me, I'm going to eat them up like candy. I'll crush them up. I'll snort them. Whatever it is. That's why
it's like sitting in a hot bath. It's amazing.
I can't have them around me, because I will be one of those guys that I'm looking forward to my Klonopin, at the end of the day. And I just know myself. So that's why I'm just like, all right, I'll keep it. And not that I'm afraid of them. It's just kind of like
and that's a good reason, kids, why you say no to drugs.
Exactly.
Right.
Dude, when I popped my first benzo, when I stole that benzo from my dad, I was like, this is the best fucking thing ever. You guys,
that's when it started.
You guys can keep your marijuana.
Yeah, right.
You can keep your alcohol. I just want these fucking pills.
See, and these other drugs aren't actual gateway drugs because he started stealing to get his benzo.
Right. So
backward.
But the good news is, I guess for myself, is I've always had kind of the wherewithal with everything in my life to realize this is bad. This is not going to be good. This is not going to end well if I just keep taking this stuff for fun. I actually, when my brother was killed, I was prescribed benzos, and that could have set me on a path for the rest of my life. I took them for a couple of weeks, and I'm just like, I'm just enjoying this too much, man. This isn't just helping me with my grief and my anxiety.
Right.
I need to kind of just enjoy myself.
Did you take a Klonopin with a glass of wine?
Oh yeah, you're all set.
Nothing fucking matters.
See, now you're giving me goals.
No, but dude, honestly, nothing matters. I mean, someone's fucking with you online. Go fuck yourself. Someone, somebody in business is upset about something. All right, whatever. Give me another glass of wine.
Treat yourself.
Oh, I was totally flat on it. I mean, it was like, and I was good though. I mean, I was functional. Everything was great. But something about it, as after a while, I just realized I was on it for 6 years. I was looking after my mom, taking care of her. She was sick. Now my dad, who's 95, I'm looking after him. I said, fuck it. I didn't want to be on something for so long. And so I came off it, had a transplant, wasn't ready for a fin. Then I saw after the effluvium started from the transplant, all the anxiety kicked back in. And I tapered off Klonopin. It took a year to taper off it. Then I started taking Fin probably 4 or 5 months after the transplant. And so now that I've been going through all different effluviums and shit, it just set me off and just, created a shitload of anxiety. But
so the recipe was there for emotional disaster.
And,
God.
Yeah, and that maybe should have been discussed during your consult. Yeah. And the reality is now I want to call my benzo friend after this conversation.
Rico down on the corner.
Right? No, the great thing about living around really wealthy people is that everyone's on benzos.
Oh man,
there's not a woman who's not carrying a 12-pound purse that doesn't have benzos in it.
With 8 pounds of benzos.
Yeah, in Beverly Hills. So,
and that's the thing, man. When I was in the chair after I had the consult, told them I just got off the drug. It was kind of treated, and not to shit on the doctor or the practice, but it was kind of casual. And even when I went in on the day, got in the chair, they had to check my BP over again because I was so nervous and anxious, and it just kind of just all happened.
I guess my question to you is
some more quality control about the situation.
My question to you is you weaned yourself off benzos. Normally, when you have a hair transplant, they will give you some form of a benzo.
Yeah.
So
I took one.
You took one.
Took two. Yeah.
It's interesting. They're starting to find out, and I spoke to this guy, Dan Daniel, about it, who was a pain management medication, that a better...
In Florida, yeah.
He's actually in Atlanta, but a better benzo to take that doesn't react on the same, I guess it's the same receptors as lidocaine, is something called Ativan.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And and there are a lot of doctors that they don't know about that. They don't know that there are cases of lidocaine toxicity when people take Valium or given Valium, and then they're injected with lidocaine because it somehow, and again I don't know the exact term, but it reacts through the same pathways.
Yeah.
As opposed to separate pathways. And that's something that a lot of doctors, and they're like, well, how come this lidocaine is not working? Why do we need to keep injecting more lidocaine? It's because it's kind of the effects are being blocked by the benzodiazepine or the Valium.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought I would just throw that out there since we're talking about benzos and hair transplants.
Yeah. Now, I guess I just wish at the time when I was in the chair it was more like, you ready to do this? Like, I would have chilled, it would have been just good to have a little more quality control, I guess. And again, I hate to speak ill of anybody or the clinic or whatever, but they saw that I was pretty fucking nervous and anxious about the situation. And it was like, I don't know. Even
you got to understand
you
got to understand the business aspect of it. They paid for their day. They had everything set. They had everything set up, and they're like, okay, they deal with nervous patients all the time.
Well, and I was going to say, you got to also understand that every patient is nervous, and to varying degrees. But some clinics will give sedatives of some sort to every patient, regardless of how nervous they appear. And it's just, look, in a perfect world, in a perfect world, they would counsel the patient for 6 hours before the surgery even began to make sure that that they won't be freaking out and that they're not too nervous. But it's something
fine through the procedure.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It happens to every patient. There's always a degree of nervousness, and while you may have been feeling like your nerves are about to explode through your skin, you might not have looked like it, and that's something to consider. So I mean, did you were you sitting there going, I don't know, guys, I'm really nervous. Were you talking about it?
Yeah, I mean, I was vocal, and they kept checking my BP because they were like, oh man, it just must be his nerves. So, but I mean, I was calm through the procedure and after the fact, and I guess I had normal follow-ups. I mean, I call you guys a shilla. I guess that might be indicative of a lot of anxiety, but I'm just writing out the situation and dealing. It just sucks because I had some shock loss and some shock loss from the donor. So I'm going to give it 2 years on Finn and then check out some repairs and shit as needed.
Well, but, when I speak to you, I hear the anxiety or I hear the angst, and I feel for you. But I do think there's an opportunity that you will regain the hair that you lost, and the transplant may end up being a success. You just, unfortunately, it is what it is for now, and you just have to kind of wait it out.
For sure. And no, that's why I call the show, man. You guys are, originally I used to just be like, oh, it's just all about self-help equality, and then I used to be like, that's not for me. And then after getting the transplant, just talking to you guys, talking to Joe via chat, had the chance to talk to him.
Dude, we fucking changed lives, my man. We changed lives. That's what we do.
We are the best, man.
And modest too.
Yeah, I wish some of these fucking doctors would understand. I wish this British friend of mine would be like, really recognize what we do here every fucking week, twice a week, and what we've been doing for the last 20 years. But there are sadly, there's a lot of really dumb doctors out there.
I wish some doctors would stop referring to me as a forum guy.
I wish there were doctors that would stop referring to me as a marketing guy.
A marketing guy.
I'm like,
that's a great.
Have you read an article about hair loss lately? A marketing guy? What the fuck are you talking about? That's why you're going to have to close your doors in 6 months because you think I'm a marketing guy.
Look what you guys did and helped Maury out in Florida. He fucking didn't have to have a transplant with a fucking 28-year-old or whatever it is.
I'm telling you.
I mean, hopefully that works out.
Dude, my concern for Morty is that he's going to be handcuffed to some bed in a motel room
missing a kidney
in about 2 days. Yeah.
Classic.
Listen, and I'm not saying that this doesn't happen, because it has, but I'm always very cautious. I was actually out. I was on the phone talking to Joe, and this girl came up to me, and she's a really beautiful, exotic, let's say, woman, young. I found out she wasn't as young as she looked, but she was young. And she just started to talk to me, and she's like, do you want to hit me up? Here's my number. And I went inside, and Joe heard the whole thing, and I asked, because I go to this restaurant all the time, I said, let me ask you about that chick. Is she a hooker? because she just gave me her digits. I'm a 53-year-old man. And she said, no, she actually asked about you. And I said that you're a cool guy. And I'm thinking to myself, how do you know I'm a cool guy? I sit outside drinking wine and eating food all the time. We never even talk. But anyway, that stuff happens, but I find it very suspect. And, you know, like if you're in a hotel, like I don't wear a watch now, but I wear a nice watch a lot of times. If a girl starts to talk to me, I see her looking at my watch, I'm just like, I'm going to be murdered. I'm going to be murdered. You know? I guess that's just, I'm a paranoid fucking guy. I got to get past that.
And that's when he pulls out the benzos.
Yeah, I'm going to be murdered. All right, man. Listen, Nico, great talking to you. I hope the phone call helped. And
good hearing from everybody.
We'll hear from you next week,
definitely
man.
did.
All right.
I'll definitely talk to you guys soon. Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Be well. Bye.
I mean, that's not normal, thinking that you're going to be murdered. Look,
yeah,
you
it is.
You hear all these crazy stories, especially at hotel bars. And I have to say that I've done some of my most damage at hotel bars.
Sorry, Morty in the chat room says, "Excuse me while I whip this out."
I've done some damage, or like TGIF Fridays. You know, if you want to go like for the secretary crowd, those are the best places. Like El Torito, Fridays, place like that. Yeah, I guess Applebee's bar, or like what is that fucking place that makes all the burgers? Anyway, one of those cheap places like Olive Garden. Great secretary crowd.
So I was able to get the image up.
All right.
I'm going to show the world what I used to look like with this good-looking hair, GLH hair in a can.
All right.
That is not it.
It's a dick pic.
There we go.
I have to say, it just kind of looks like you're dyeing your hair, and it looks.
I
like,
know, but I was 23 years old.
It looks a little ridiculous because the sides are so dark. So let me ask you a question. So essentially, you sprayed the entire top and part of the sides to try to blend it in.
Yeah, I tried to, and I was doing the hairline because it was so full of. I mean, it's obviously a low resolution image because it was 1993. As you can, I mean, this is a Christmas party, right? And but the spiked hairline was filled with this concealer from the hairline back into the crown, and you can't see this because you don't see the overhead, but that's just a taste of what it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, from the front, like the guys in the chat are saying, it doesn't look that bad. It just kind of looks like that guy made a bad choice.
Yeah,
you know?
And he did.
Yeah, but it doesn't look phony. It just looks like, you know, you're some like redneck motherfucker. You know.
Well, that was. Look what my buddy in the middle is holding in his hand. He's got a Schlitz.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. And we've got screwdrivers, and we were hammered.
Yeah.
And that was our company after Christmas get together. So good times.
Jesus.
And guy in the middle was my old best friend. He died a few years ago of sepsis of all things. So may he rest in peace. There we go. Yep.
What, in a hospital?
Yep. He got pneumonia and somehow got sepsis, and he was 40. God, it was longer than a few years ago. He was 49 at the time.
That's why you have to have money, man. I'm telling you. I know, I'm not even joking around. I have room in this place. If God forbid something happens to me, I will have a hospital bed and a full-time fucking nurse, and I will not be in a fucking hospital.
Yeah, that's the worst.
That's not gonna. I will go if I have to go broke making that happen.
And you will.
I will.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, hospitals aren't the best. I mean, they're necessary, obviously, but
Jesus, what happened to my? Oh, that's your camera went off.
My camera went off?
Yeah.
Well, I hate when that happens.
Yeah,
Right back.
there's no fucking way. I've spent so much time in hospitals with family members. That is a. I mean, they fucking kill you in these places. Now, no disrespect to the doctors, and I give a lot of respect to the nurses who have to deal with these patients and the hard work that they perform, and the job that they have is not easy. But holy cow. I mean, you are at the mercy of these people, and you don't know what the fuck you're getting in these places. You're around just, flesh-eating bacteria and airborne viruses and all kinds of fucking things. Someone says you have to be admitted into the hospital. It's not going to happen. I will be kicking and screaming.
And we're back.
I had a hernia operation when I was 21 years old, and I was very naive, and I was just like, let's just, okay. My family doctor said that this is the guy to go to, and I went to him, and he ended up fucking me up a little bit. I had a lot of pain for a while, and the whole hospital stay was just like really uncomfortable, and like, I had no money really. Well, it's 21, I had a little bit of money, but I opted for the room with a roommate. That shit is never going to happen again. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons I decided to succeed in life is so that I don't have to deal with any of that shit. I don't want to fucking wait in lines. I don't want to share a hospital room with anybody. It just scares me.
Just bring everything to you in your own bedroom.
Or if I do have to go to the hospital.
Turn you into the bubble boy.
If I do have to go to the hospital, I want to have my own crew. I want to have an advocate sitting there with me. I want to have my own cleaning crew, which I will, if God forbid something happens. And you think I'm not joking, Joe.
I know you're not joking. That's why I'm laughing. It's like if I felt like you're joking, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But I know you're not joking, and that's what's hilarious.
What's really weird is why is my image is like crooked on YouTube?
It is actually.
That's really weird. Hold on.
Do you have another camera next to? Do you have two cameras in front of you?
I do not.
Your angle. It's like I'm seeing you on Skype, and the camera looks like it's right in front of your Apple logo. No. But on YouTube, it's certainly not. It's strange. It's like it just stretched a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on.
I think it's YouTube because I'm looking at.
Put it side by side?
I'm pretty centered. Well, side by side, the shot is perfect.
Weird.
But my shot is a little off.
Now it looks normal, but smaller screen, so okay. All right. Anything else? Got any other calls? Are we shutting this down?
No, we're going to close up shop. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I did turn down my volume a little bit, but I think it was fine because you guys were complaining about it.
So it's your fault.
I kind of hear it in a weird... I don't know if something's wrong with my mic processor or if there's something wrong with the software or the capture card. I don't know what's going on, but I'm watching my levels on the software and they seem low, and I only brought it down like half a notch. So we will find out. Guys, I want to thank you for tuning into the broadcast. We are here every Tuesday and Friday evenings, Friday afternoons for us. It's Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. You can check out Joe Tillman's personal hair transplant mentor page at hairtransplantmentor.com. You'll learn all about Joe, his story. There's plenty of funny pictures, just like you saw, of Joe on his personal website. Also, while we haven't updated the site in about 2 weeks, we have a lot of segments that we're going to be putting on thebaldtruth.com. So besides checking out Joe's site, besides subscribing to, and the reason why we use YouTube Player and Joe's page for the live broadcast on The Bald Truth is we want to build Joe's personal YouTube page, and it's growing.
It is. We're about to hit 10,000 subscribers, so thank you to everyone that has subscribed.
Yeah, so subscribe to youtube.com/hairtransplantmentor. Ring that bell, subscribe to Joe's page, and you'll be able to see not only our live broadcast and recorded broadcast, but also Joe's educational hair transplant classes that are a lot of fucking work.
They are.
And
Ooh, yeah.
it's so funny, man. It's like your volume is way up. I don't know. Andrew,
yours sounds down now because it sounds like you're trying not to be too loud.
I'm not, though. How's that? Check 1, 2.
Yeah. What I'm saying is it seemed like you were holding back, not like your actual volume was low.
Oh, I wasn't. Maybe I'm just getting tired. But I definitely hear something in my headset. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, thebaldtruth.com. Listen, guys, subscribe to thebaldtruth.com. We don't sell your information. Actually, like another big company I found out that does sell your information.
Really?
They sold, there's a hair transplant firm that apparently sold some leads. Old, dead leads to a new firm.
Really?
Really.
Do I know who these people are?
I think probably most people do.
Okay. All right. I want to learn more.
Yeah. So we do not sell your email addresses. Everything is completely private. All you essentially will be getting just emails every time a show is posted or every time a segment is posted. The more subscribers we have, the better it is for the broadcast. There is no fee yet. Who knows? That could change at some point.
By the way, everyone watching, be sure to hit like on this broadcast. We've got the numbers are dropping 25 now, but we got 18 likes. Give me 2 so we can hit 20. Thank you.
Yeah, make that happen, guys.
Make it happen.
Also, the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. If you are dealing with a hair loss issue, if you have been considering hair transplant surgery, really we created the IHRS to provide a safe place to start your initial research. And that is it. This whole recommended list shit that has been circulating for years, that is nothing that I ever wanted to do. I created an alliance of like-minded professionals who, I was in a position to separate the good doctors from the not-so-good doctors at the time. And all of a sudden, other people came in and kind of bastardized the concept and turned these things into recommended lists. The IHRS is an organization. It is seen as an organization by every major media outlet in the world. When you look up hair transplant organizations, our organization comes up first in most searches. It's an organization. It just happens to be an organization that doesn't allow everybody in. We don't have an open door policy. Period. What we do provide is a service for consumers to do their research. What we don't provide is direct contact to these physicians. You can click on their website or you can call them up from their profile, but we do not provide online consultations. And one reason we don't provide online consultations is because I was advised by someone at the National Advertising Division of the Better Business Bureau that I would be putting any physician who was part of what we do in potential danger of violating of being in violation of HIPAA. A lot of doctors don't realize that. But the way that we've run things for the last 20 years was not only to protect the patient, but to protect those who supported our message. So you guys should look into that. Let's see. What else? The American Hair Loss Association. Guys, if you are wanting basic information about hair loss, the American Hair Loss Association provides content to resources like WebMD. We are the most referenced hair loss organization in the world. You talk about a company like Keeps. Who do they reference? They reference us. It's just the way that it is. You look up hair loss in the news, I don't know, we referenced, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 times a month. We provide good, clean information. We take the time to answer your questions. I have a staff of people who work on a voluntary basis. We do not accept donations of any kind from the public, and we never have. So check out the American Hair Loss Association. Eventually, there will be a new site up there. Any day, it's just going to pop up. You're going to be like, holy shit, look at that site. And I want Joe to thank all of the people who are also helping us to promote this message.
Well, that would start with bellicapelli.forumfree.it. It is a forum based out of Italy. It is primarily an Italian-focused website, but they do discuss lots of great surgery performed by lots of great doctors all around the world because Italians love to travel for their hair transplants. I know that for a fact. It's a great resource. It's very full of valuable information from a lot of contributors, a lot of forum members sharing their results as well. And the great thing about this website is the administrator of this website is not a psychopath. He is not a crazy person. He's easy to deal with. He's awesome to work with. I consider him my friend, and he's also a repair patient. So guess what, guys? He understands the issues that we're all facing. That's bellicapelli.forumfree.it. We also have hairlossexperiences.com, primarily a UK-based hair transplant forum, but being the interwebs, we've all got access to it, and it shows because their traffic is growing quite well. Great resource, great doctors, great participation by patients, and again, the admin is a repair patient, good friend of my own and of Spencer and our efforts. He supports our message, and both websites stream this broadcast through their respective web properties, and we do appreciate them a lot. So that's hairlossexperiences.com.
And Mordecai. You can send
Mordecai.
I want to thank Mordecai. You can send your information to Joe, and he'll send it to us or send it to me directly, and I will make sure the moderator gets it and see if they can kind of reboot your effort to register on the forum. So send that information directly to Joe Tillman at joetillmanlovesblank.com. Guys, until next time. Until next time, be strong. God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always like, down and out about their haircuts.
Sure.
I lost my hair when I was 16 to 17 years old.
That's heavy.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's all good, man. And the funny thing is that I've learned to overcome it. And I've had